Hi all, I am Ardra studying in class 10. Here I am presenting a documentary film on the topic The Building Styles of Asia, Antarctica and Europe. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to my teachers, parents and friends, and special thanks to all the reference links which I have referred from YouTube, Google, etc. At last, I welcome you all to this documentary film. Thank you. The building styles of Asia, Antarctica and Europe. Nepal. Nepali architecture is a unique strain of art and practicality. Situated in between the trade routes of India, Tibet and China, Nepali architecture reflects influences from both these cultural strongholds. The pagoda architectural tradition figures prominently among Hindu temples in the country. The pagoda architectural tradition, as well along with the Tibetan tradition of Buddhist architecture and the stupa, in contrast, is widely used among Buddhist temples throughout the country. Mughal style, Sumit style, dome style also have great scope in Nepal. The pagoda is a multi-tiered temple with multiple roofs. This style is the oldest in the Asia continent and derives its shape from Himalayan fruit trees. The ground floor is the place to worship the deity, and upper floors can be used as storage of God's prosperity. There is a gajar at the top, which is the combination of lotus base and upside down base, a triangle and a kalasha. Historical facts tell us that the pagoda style was introduced in Nepal from the beginning of the 13th century. A Dhumdhara is a traditional stone drinking fountain found in Nepal. It's an intricately curved stone waterway through which water flows uninterrupted from underground sources. Dhumdharas are a part of comprehensive drinking water supply system commissioned by various rulers of ancient and medieval Nepal. The system is supported by numerous ponds and canals that form an elaborate network of water bodies, created as a water resource during the dry season and to help alleviate the water pressure caused by the monsoon rains. A Chaitya hall, Chaitya Grah, refers to a shrine, sanctuary, temple or prayer hall in Indian religions. The term is most common in Buddhism, where it refers to a space with a stupa and a rounded apse at the end opposite to the entrance, and a high roof with a rounded profile. Strictly speaking, the Chaitya is the stupa itself, and the Indian buildings are Chaitya halls, but this distinction is often not observed. Outside India, the term is used by Buddhists for local styles or small stupa-like monuments in Nepal, Cambodia, Indonesia and elsewhere. In the historical texts of Jainism and Hinduism, including those relating to architecture, Chaitya refers to a temple, sanctuary or an cursed monument. The most early examples of Chaitya that survive are Indian rock-cut architecture. Scholars agree that the standard form follows a tradition of freestanding halls made of wood and other plant materials, none of which has survived. The halls are high and long, but rather narrow. At the far end stands the stupa, which is the focus of devotion. There are always columns along the side walls, going up the start of the curved roof, and a passage behind the columns, creating a zealous and a central nave and allowing ritual circumambulation or pradakshina, either immediately around the stupa or around the passage behind the columns. On the outside, there is a porch, often very elaborately decorated, a relatively low entranceway, and above this often a gallery. The only natural light, apart from a little from the entranceway, comes from a large horseshoe-shaped window above the porch, echoing the curve of the roof inside. The overall effect is surprisingly similar to smaller Christian churches from the early medieval period, though early chaityas are many centuries earlier. Ardra is a traditional drinking fountain found in Nepal. It's a water reservoir building out of stone with a tap that can be opened and closed. Nepalese architecture is a status that has become an important part of the country's cultural heritage. The ancient architecture of Nepal is found to be an excellent even from the scientific point of view. The ancient architecture is the mind-blowing examples of wonderful craftsmanship and chiseling skills. France. French architecture consists of numerous architectural styles that either originated in France or elsewhere and were developed within the territories of France. Gallo-Roman. The architecture of ancient Rome at first adopted the external Greek architecture, and by the late Republic, the architectural style developed its own highly distinctive style by introducing the previously little used arcs, walls, and domes. A crucial factor in this development, called the Roman architectural revolution, was the invention of concrete. Romanesque. Architecture of a Romanesque style developed stimulantly in parts of France in the 10th century and prior to the later influence of the Abbey of Cluny. The style, sometimes called First Romanesque or Later Romanesque, is characterized by thick walls, lack of sculpture, and the presence of rhythmic ornamental arcs known as Lombard back. Medieval. French Gothic architecture is a style of architecture developed in France from 1140 until about 1500, which largely divided into four styles: Early Gothic, High Gothic, Renaissance, Late Gothic, or Flamboyant style. Baroque. French Baroque is a form of Baroque architecture that evolved in France during the reigns of Louis period. French Baroque profoundly influenced 8th century secular architecture throughout Europe, although the open three-wing layout of the place was established in France as canonical solution as early as the 16th century. Provincial. One of the most distinctive characteristics of many French buildings is the tall second-story windows, often arched at the top, that break through the corners and rise above the eaves. This unusual window design is especially noticeable on America's French provincial houses. Modern after-country manners in the French provinces, these brick or stucco homes are stately and formal. They have steep-hipped roofs and a square, symmetrical shape with windows balanced on each side of the entrance. The tall second-story windows are to the sense of height. Normandy. In Normandy and the Loire Valley of France, farm silos were often attached to the main living quarters instead of a separate barn. After World War I, Americans romanticized the traditional French farmhouse, creating a style known as French Normandy. Sided with stone, stucco, or brick, these homes may suggest the Tudor style with decorative half-timbering, vertical, horizontal, and diagonal strips of wood set in masonry. The French Normandy style is distinguished by a round stone tower topped by a cone-shaped roof. The tower is usually placed near the center, serving as the entrance to the home. French Normandy and French provincial details are often combined to create a style simply called French country or French rural carved or imposed on modeling scones and banisters. This is a country of diverse beauty, culture, and natural wonders. Throughout history, French architecture played a few seminal roles, giving birth to some of the most famous architectural styles and presenting itself as a role model for the rest of the world. Antarctica. The coolest architecture on Earth is in Antarctica. Architecture in Antarctica is young. In 1899, an expedition of 10 men, led by the Norwegian explorer Gaston Borchgrevink, was the first to overwinter on Antarctica intentionally. Today, Antarctica has more than 40 year-round research stations and about 60 seasonal ones, housing up to 5,000 people during the summer. The accommodation tends to be comfortable and relatively spacious. No sealskins required. Belgium's Princess Elizabeth Station, which is operated by the International Polar Foundation, is so well designed. It is kept warm by sunlight and the heat produced by occupants and electrical appliances. Clad in aluminium and anchored to granite rocks, the summer-only base has walls more than 50 centimeters. Composed of 9 layers including wool and felt, paper, polystyrene, and wood. These highly insulated walls mean the interior is quiet and the temperature remains at 20 Celsius, even when it is 50 Celsius outside and the wind is strong enough to curb. The base, Purse, a new annex, is home for up to 48 people during the 6 months of research. The architecture of a country or a continent is a symbol of its art, the lifestyle of people, climate changes, traditional practices, and many more. Here we see the architecture of Nepal from Asian continent, France from European continent, and Antarctica. Asia is the largest of the world's continents, covering approximately 30% of the Earth's land area. It's a huge place inhabited by literally billions of people from many different religious and cultural backgrounds. Asian architecture was influenced by its climate change, lifestyle of people, ancient religious practices with influences from Hinduism and Buddhism. Most of the themes of architecture are centered around the religions of the people of Asia. However, the art and architecture throughout Asia has been historically influenced through the interactions of the various ancient communities and cultures with the people of other cultures and backgrounds. The climate of Asia is dry across its southern eastern region, with dry across much of the interior. Some of the largest daily temperature ranges on Earth occur in the western part of Asia. However, ancient architecture. However, ancient architecture as a whole does have interesting and beautiful architectures in the world. Europe is the second smallest continent in the earth. Its architecture is also influenced by the climate changes, art, philosophy, music, religious practices of people, etc. Its climate is generally characterized by a temperate climate. Most of Western Europe has an oceanic climate in the Köppen climate classification, featuring cool to warm summers and cool winters with frequent overcast skies. The European architecture also has a major role in the list of famous architectures in the world. And at last, Antarctica, which is the coldest continent on Earth and one of the most inhospitable environments on Earth. Even though Antarctica has architecture in it, which is strongly influenced by its temperature, because 98% of Antarctica is covered by ice, and its average temperature in the interior throughout the year is about minus 57 degrees Celsius, with the minimum temperature being minus 90 degrees Celsius during the winter season. So, with this extreme temperature, it's a great achievement of architectural history for the architecture in Antarctica. Architecture, as most other forms of art, is extremely diverse historically and culturally. It is arguably the different values and standards of living for every community that utilizes the structures for their everyday life. It is the physical form of these values, and it represents the growth and evolution of the world and the societies that are encompassed within it. I hope you all enjoyed and liked this documentary film. Thank you all.